Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with Annassa. So happy to see you. Oh, wow. Happy New Year, everybody. Here we are, 2021. So I want to share with you an insight that we gave to Rebecca earlier this week. And that is that the religions that we know of on the earth at this point have all celebrated heaven above us and demonized hell below us. And this is part of the blind spot of the human collective in being able to recognize what we have done to the earth. Because in demonizing that which is below and glorifying that which is above, we have created a blindness to our willful destruction of Mother Earth. And so this needs our attention in a very big way. And if we can shift this perception within ourselves, we can begin to shift the perception within the human collective. So this is an important thing to add to our consciousness in this time so that we're not rejecting the earth ourselves as the representation of hell or whatever words are used for that rejection in each particular religion. So although this is simple, this is profound, and it shows why it's so impossible for the human collective to just make that shift. Because all of us have within us this idea that below is bad and above is good. And that really has to change. So we've been incorporating it for, well, ever since we've been teaching meditation, that our relationship to the earth is part of that. But also that as heaven sent, as the nourishment that provides for our very life. All of it comes from the earth. And so we have to begin to deify Mother Earth herself as part of heaven. And you feel how incongruous that feels as you try to embrace that concept? This is the problem of the human collective. We must deify Mother Earth. So having said that, let's move into meditation. Take your attention into your heart center. Breathe into that space. And just hold your attention there and watch what happens. And really make some effort to drop your attention out of your head and into the heart space, so that you actually feel what it is to inhabit your heart. In the center of your chest. You breathe directly into that heart center and drop your awareness deeply into that center between the breaths. And you can say, I am in perfect alignment. And that perfect alignment is when you are in union with the highest for every living being, and the perfect alignment that allows you to be your highest self. The alignment is with source energy. From this place, drop your attention all the way down to Mother Earth. And understand that in union, you are connected to Earth. There is nothing outside or inside. There just is. Feel into that union. You just feel your energy touch the earth. And yourself as part of the earth. Everything we are made of is from the earth. And see if in this moment you can cultivate some reverence and devotion to and for Mother Earth. She is the source of our food. She is the source of our shelter. She is all the raw materials that we're made of. And as you feel into this space beneath your body, I am in perfect union. And just feel into that. And as you're ready, gently allow your attention to come all the way up your central channel and out the top of your head. Feel into the what we call the soul star chakra at the top of your aura. Breathe into that space. I am in perfect union. And now begin to circulate your energy with your breath from the soul star chakra to the earth star chakra, which is just under the dirt. And back up again. As you're ready, gently bring your attention back into the room. We know that was way too short, but we want to spend some time talking and answering your questions. So, There was a question that someone wrote to us about, well, it said this. You said that we would experience the fifth dimension in this lifetime. I don't see, when I look around myself, any possibility of that happening. So, what are you talking about? So, the truth of that is this: fifth dimensional experience, as with all experience, already exists within us. And as we cultivate our relationship to the deeper and deeper parts of ourselves, as we come into greater and greater alignment with our our purpose, our highest and the highest of the whole, as we come into alignment, union with that energetic field of awareness that is available to us as we work deeper and deeper inside to create this alignment, then fifth dimensional experience begins to reveal itself to us. Fifth dimensional experience is not something that's going to happen outside of us and then carry us into the fifth dimension. Fifth dimensional experience is the reward of our inner work, our inner alignment. And so as we pay attention deeper and deeper inside ourselves and resolve every disharmonious frequency that arises in us, we gain greater and greater access to that within us, which is fifth dimensional awareness. So this is how it happens. It's not somebody touching us with a magic wand and suddenly we understand everything. Trust me, this has been our greatest wish, to have somebody touch us with a magic wand and completely know everything. That's not how it happens. But the beauty of it is that it's a very organic experience that becomes available as we work deeper and deeper inside ourselves. And this is why so many great saints have walked off into the woods or someplace where they could be alone to do this work to bring themselves into harmony. And so we all have the capacity to do that. There's no person who doesn't have the capacity to feel deeply in themselves and experience union. It's available to every single one of us always. And it's simply turning your attention around so that instead of being out there on what you want to create or receive, it's in here, still on what you want to create and receive. But cultivating this union deeper and deeper inside yourself. And in the beginning, it always has hard parts and it always has extraordinarily wonderful parts that are pretty much unimaginable until they've been experienced. So how may we serve further this morning? Talk to us.
My family is surviving well during this time of pandemic and global pause. Many others are not, with loss of jobs, homes, health, etc. This haunts me often. Last night I dreamt of visiting a homeless encampment to see how I could help. Could you please help me to understand this inequity always present on earth and seemingly more profound during these challenging times? I thank you deeply.
Hmm. There's so many different ways to answer this question. This is going to sound a little bit harsh, but from one perspective, God appears as the experience that we need to have to move us into mm, the next level of awareness within ourselves. And so, as a human being, we are always magnetizing to us that which will allow us to grow and understand ourselves deeper, or we'll say more deeply. What that looks like from the outside can be very, very harsh. In the context of reincarnation, it becomes less harsh looking because there is the understanding that we have agreed to our experiences before we come here. And so we have chosen them for our own highest growth. And in a way, it's more complicated than that, but in another way, it's not. It's more complicated in that as we grow deeper and deeper, we have more and more choice about what we do and how we spend our energy. But the simple truth is that we magnetize our experience to us by where we put our attention. Which is not to say that people are exactly responsible for their experience. It's not really that simple. It's a constellation of factors. But if we think of it in that way, it will point us in the right direction in terms of addressing our own inner work. And the truth of the matter is, we can never go wrong by going inside and taking our experience inside and digesting any disharmony into ourselves until we bring our experience into a harmonious field. And as you've all discovered in doing this practice, sometimes that's a lot easier than others. And sometimes it takes a while. And that's always true. So that's kind of the short answer. What we can do, just right off the bat, is wish everybody well inside ourselves, including ourselves. One of the biggest mistakes we make is to wish everybody else well and forget about ourselves. And, you know, in some of our traditions, that's called sacrifice. But unless we wish ourselves well, we have trouble wishing anybody else well for real. Unless we love ourselves, we have trouble loving the whole. That's our experience. So discovering what loving yourself is a really important part of wishing the whole well. And from a true open heart, this sending of love as our field of awareness gets bigger and bigger, this expansion of love and inclusion of the whole in love gets more and more powerful, because there is no separation from the love of God, the love of self, and the love of whole. They are one and the same. And if you exclude any of it, then you're less than what's possible. You've reduced yourself in excluding any of it. And as you begin to expand into that awareness, you understand that the entire field of human experience is available to every human being, that there is no separation. And so whatever another is experiencing, you have either already experienced or have the potential to experience. And so there is really no separation. So in loving the whole, you accept all of it. You accept all of it as not separate from you. And then all the joy and all the sorrow is part of you. And then you understand that denying any of it is denying all of it in a way, because it reduces you. And so there is this complete acceptance that is union. And then you still just come back to every disharmony in yourself and bringing it into the whole, into union, as you gradually expand your field of awareness. We hope that answers your question. How may we serve further?
What are some things we can do to honor Mother Earth?
So, what are some things that we can do to honor Mother Earth? Well, we start, as usual, inside ourselves. And we search for any part of ourselves that doesn't honor Mother Earth. And we kind of invite that to become present. And as we do that, you know, first thing that came up for us was garbage. What do we do with our garbage? And then we think about, wow, how much of our garbage is stuff that is not going to degrade? What have we done here? So then we think about that. What can we do about that? How can we participate in a small way? Or how can we participate in a big way? But we stick to what we can do. And the first thing we can do is change our attitude, is understand, feel into how we feel about dirt. What do we know about dirt? And you just sort of go like that. You feel into whatever comes up in you as you examine your relationship to Mother Earth. And you begin to bring it into harmony in yourself so that you come to a coherent view of how you want to participate in the reclamation of Mother Earth. And it will come to you what's in alignment for you as you spend time in that field, considering what's your best way to participate. And it will be slightly different for all of us. And it will be different at different times in our lives. But the most valuable thing we can do is to begin to examine that relationship in ourselves. And as we change our perspective, we will begin to have conversations with others about that perspective. And that is how it grows. That's pollination. That's how love grows. That's how change happens. That's how we move the earth and move ourselves in relation to the earth. So, in a way, it's simple. You just go inside, and whatever comes up, you look at that very carefully. And gradually, your view of your own connection to Mother Earth will shift. And as that shifts, so will your behavior. And then the way you talk about it with others will also shift, and then their behavior will begin to shift. And you understand that none of this examination is about judgment. You might look at your own behavior and go, oh, I can't believe I've been doing this all these years. That's okay. You don't, no harm, no foul. Now you're going to do something different. But, if we run away in shame, the second we have recognition about what it is we've been doing, then we've not only been doing that, we haven't changed that behavior really yet. We've just made ourselves unable to access the deepest part that's available to us. So then we have to step back, bring the shame into harmony. Usually it will go to anger or some other guilt, or we don't know. It's different every time. So you want to watch your reactions as you begin to reevaluate your relationship to the earth, and keep yourselves in alignment. Anything disharmonious that comes up, it's disharmony is disharmony. You bring it into harmony and then you go deeper. And this is true for any shift that we're trying to make within ourselves. We guide our attention by our intention. So when we take on an area that we would like to shift, we take our intention. Okay, I want to shift my attitude toward the earth. Go inside and you just let everything that wants to arise to describe your relationship to Mother Earth, you allow it to come up, and then you begin to bring it into harmony and union with your understanding of the whole. And it will contribute to a greater understanding of that whole. We hope that answers your question. How may we serve further?
Please discuss the new COVID strain that is more contagious. Is this the beginning of a new and worse phase for the earth? And what does this mean for humanity? Love, Subhana.
So we'll go into a bit into Rebecca's scientific knowledge and say that mutations in viruses are common. What we don't know is how their survival of this mutation compared to the other strains of the virus. But really, in dealing with the virus itself, it's easy to go to fear. It's taken so many, and the fear is palpable in the atmosphere. So you allow yourself to experience that, and then you bring it into harmony inside yourself with the understanding that everyone will die, including ourselves. And the time and place of that is not really up to us. And we develop a kind of peace toward it as we bring it into harmony, knowing that our time will come when our life is done. And it may be sooner and it may be later, but it's true for all of us. Nobody gets out of here alive. So there is a way in which this is relevant. And in our immediate moment, not so relevant. And the reason we say that is because if we make our task our own consciousness, then allowing ourselves to be carried away by any emotion, fear, anger, disappointment, loss. These things all happen, and these things all require tremendous amount of work to meet. And yet there is the understanding that we signed up for it all. And when you have that understanding, then you go, okay, you kind of roll up your sleeves and get to work. It's the same answer is that our inner work comes first, and through our inner work, great change is possible. You know, we can focus on the virus, we can focus on the vaccine, we can focus on the hope, we can focus on the despair. But the real thing is, where are you in relationship to love inside yourself? Where are you in relationship to peace, joy, gratitude? What is it that you are projecting from your own being into the whole? This is where the real power is in self-discovery, self-inquiry, and ultimately self-acceptance, self-love. And then there is just this purity of love, peace, joy, gratitude that gives us access to that which is beyond. We hope that answers your question. How may we serve further?
I think you just answered this, but my question was, how can we bring the people in the current administration, or rather the horrendous effects they produce, into our field of loving kindness?
Well, the way to deal with this is the way we deal with any contrast that appears within ourselves. And understanding that the polarization is what is the real issue here. In the way that we get polarized in ourselves between the perception of good and evil, we tend to project that into our outer world. And when we understand that the problem is not the extremes, but the reaction that's creating the extremes, and that the place to be to really begin to establish a field of harmony is to stand right in the center of that axis point and bring both sides into harmony within us. And as we are more and less successful with that, then we can begin to dissolve the polarities And as we dissolve those in ourselves, we will see them dissolve in our outside world. But the more we get get polarized ourselves, the more we attract the opposite and repel the opposite, the more we're participating in creating more polarity. And this is part of the problem because all of us have loved ones who are in the opposite pole in this particular arena. And when we see that, then it's like, how could they think that? We all do that. It doesn't matter which side of the polarity, which makes you think, maybe there's something deeper going on here. Where is the center of that polarity? And then you're not stuck in this centrifugal force that takes you out to the pole, but you're right there in the center, looking at what's true about this. And part of the truth is that before all of this kerfuffle, there was already a lot that wasn't working. It might have been working okay for us, but it wasn't working for everybody, that's for sure. And so a lot of that has been exposed in this kerfuffle. And it will eventually right itself, especially as we occupy ground zero in the center between the polarities and start to resolve them within ourselves. It's more difficult because both sides feel that they're being reasonable and rational, and that the other side is extremely off kilter and irrational and not perceiving something that seems very obvious to them. So it's a big stretch. It's a big stretch from both sides to try to go to the center and find it. And understand that all the kerfuffle is really about exposing the truth so that we can see and choose better. So we can choose the highest for the whole. We're having a little bit of trouble because Rebecca's having a reaction. But he's really crazy. So it's work. How may we serve further? Nancy, so good to see you.
So good to see you.
You're still muted here.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I
Okay,
am?
go ahead. There you
Okay.
are.
Yeah, okay. So I have a question about my personal reaction to reading about or seeing violence or evil. Um, I'm reading the book Caste right now, which is a book about racism. And it's a powerful book. But she goes into great detail about some of the very, horrific tortures that have been done on African Americans in this country. And I have such a aversion to reading about that. I feel like I know about it, of course, but seeing movies about this kind of thing, or, it seems like I'm unusual in that I have such an aversion. Um, I'm kind of amongst my family and friends, I'm the one who's known as, the sensitive one who can't handle this stuff. And so I don't know if that means I should like try to overcome this and be able to handle watching violence, and or if I should just honor my own natural reaction to it and avoid it.
So this is really a question about how to deal with sensitivity.
Mhm.
And we have the same issue with you. You know, if somebody's about to get murdered in a movie, this is what we have to do. It's just too much. The
Yes.
intensity of the experience, even removed on a screen where you know it's not real.
Mhm.
You know it's real somewhere.
Yeah.
And you take in the experience as though it's real,
Yeah.
happening right in front of you in this moment.
Right.
And so this is the blessing and the curse of sensitivity, is that you really, really experience it.
Mhm.
And having experienced it a number of times, you don't want to do it anymore because it doesn't feel good. And it's not just that it's not pleasurable, it carries into your dream life, and it carries into your real life
Yeah.
in a way of experiencing these frequencies, so that they're not just experienced once, they reverberate through your whole being
Yes, that's
as
right.
though they happen to you
Hmm.
in this moment. And so it's like embracing a trauma.
Yeah, that's right.
And this is the true experience of sensitivity. And sensitivity is one of the things that we're cultivating as we do deeper and deeper inner work. So this is really a dilemma. How are we going to be with the people around us when they kind of really enjoy this up and down of drama and trauma? And we're like experiencing it as though the trauma is happening to us.
Yes.
Well, there is a way out, and that's this. When you've sat through an experience like that, whatever's not mine, please leave. And you really, really, really flush it out of your system. This
Okay.
is the way. This is the way. Because you want to participate with those you love in the things that they love. And so you don't have to leave. You just have to do your work. And you can be doing it while it's happening. You can be watching and say, everything that's not mine, don't stick around, just go right through me. And this will allow you a much greater flexibility. But what happens is we see it coming and we do this, and then it's stuck in us,
Okay. Yes.
right?
Yeah, that's right.
But if we can keep the flow going, anything can go through us.
Okay. So when I'm reading about it, I should read it, or should I just skip that part, which is what I usually do?
It's good practice to read it and let it go at the same time.
Okay.
That's a real potent practice field for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
It's really potent. And, it's why we went to medical school. When you're there with somebody going crazy and feeling their craziness, and then you have to drop it.
Yeah.
When you're there with somebody who's dying and part of you dies with them, you recover.
Mm.
This is, this is why we cultivate those experiences so that we have greater and greater flexibility in at the same time as we're cultivating and honoring our sensitivity. Now, that doesn't mean that we run toward those experiences exactly to make ourselves stronger. We don't have to do that. But when it's sort of part of our participation with those we love, then it's work. It
Okay.
becomes part of our work to embrace the whole.
Mm, yes. Yes, I see that. Okay. Thank you. That's very, very
You're so
helpful.
welcome. That's a tricky one.
Yes.
It's a really tricky one. We share that with you.
Thank you, dear.
Mm-hmm. How may we serve further? Hmm. We love your questions. This is an interesting thing about fear and strong energy. Because when you come down to it, it's strong energy. These experiences of pain and suffering of others. And we have to understand when we see the pain and suffering of others, what we imagine they're experiencing and what they are actually experiencing may not be the same. Because, you know very well from your experience and training with the human body that when there is drama and trauma, the human body has its own pharmacological system that kicks in and is treating that drama and trauma as it's occurring. And so what the person is experiencing and what we imagine they are experiencing may not be the same. So there's that, but it's still very traumatizing to witness someone being tortured. Did you have another question?
Paul has a question.
Okay.
Go ahead, Paul.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, see, I wrote down in the beginning here, it seems like there's almost an addiction to disharmonious feeling, energy. It's just a familiar thing. So what I've been experiencing is, especially during these times of isolation, and I'm pretty isolated right now, waves of, it's like you got a good day, couple good days, and then you have the bad days where it's just like everything's everything seems pretty rotten, and it's a very familiar spot, and it's almost comfortable, and I don't know. So then I get into the self judgment about okay, well, what's the matter with me? Because I almost like it. I guess is what I'm saying. So there you go.
So the question is that the experiences, for want of another word, will say that the darkness is becoming almost pleasurable because of its familiarity, or who knows why, but and it's like an addiction. So we don't really think it's like an addiction. That in itself is a harsh judgment. We don't see that. We see it as a wave that is familiar. And so that's all we'll say. It's a wave that has become familiar. And the thing to do when you discover that you're in that wave, the thing to do at this point is to deeply ask for help from your own inner. Say, I give up. Show me the way out of this. And just ask and ask and ask and ask. And really, it can't be conditional. You just ask. And you are asking inside yourself to be granted access to something different. And as the wave of impatience begins to arise, you ask again with more intensity. And you keep expanding your asking. You focus on the intention, the asking. And we welcome your feedback about what happens as you begin to practice in that way.
I'll do that. I've asked for help from, I guess, outside, like angelic presence. And they haven't helped me clean my room. And they haven't helped completely with, well, sometimes they do, with the disharmonious feeling. So I'll try that. I'll try that tack. Thank you.
Okay. We welcome your feedback. How may we serve further?
I think this question has to do with an earlier conversation. And it says, I don't understand going deeper. If you'd like
I'll
to.
say, okay, the question is, what does it mean to go deeper?
10 after 11.
Okay, so the first step in going deeper is making sure that you're taking your attention down into these energy centers in your body and not just leaving your attention up here and not actually going to the center. So when you breathe into your heart center, allow your attention to actually be in your heart center. When you breathe into your abdominal center, feel it. You can even put your hand there and take your attention there with your breath so that you actually feel that your field of awareness is centered in that energy center. As you feel into the energy center at the tip of your tailbone, you take your awareness there so that you're actually residing, your attention is residing in that energy center. You take your attention to the earth, and it's everything drops out of your head and into the earth. So that's where your attention is. So whenever you focus on an energy center, you are completely taking yourself there. This is deeper. So from there, deeper is you have your attention there, and then you expand that field. You just breathe into it. All your attention's there. You breathe into it and you allow it to expand. Then you go to the next energy center. You breathe into it. You allow it to expand. This is deeper. And whatever arises that doesn't allow that process, that's your work to bring into harmony so that you can go deeper. And as you go deeper, then that sense of alignment with the whole becomes more and more visceral experience. Rather than just being an idea of alignment, you're actually experiencing the flow of alignment, which is the energy flow through these energetic centers. And as you work with this more and more, you begin to experience yourself as a light being. That each one of these energy centers is actually a point of light, like a flashlight. And then as you begin to unify them with your breath and your intention, then you feel the lights between the lights and experience that the whole thing is in a kind of motion. And as you do this, your field of experience, your experience of your own awareness changes. And that's what we call deeper. And then there is this field of union, which has at its core stillness, but it's very, very, very much alive. It's stillness and potency in the same space. Any other questions? Okay, that seems like a perfect setup for meditation. Let's go to it. So much fun. Okay, so take your attention inside. And we can tell you it gets to a point where as you breathe, it's like ringing the energy centers, ringing the bells of the energy centers through yourself. So let's start again in the heart. Bring your attention into the center of your chest. Breathe into that space. Take your awareness there. And in the beginning, it will be like a bobber. You know, when you're fishing and you have your fishing line attached to a bobber and it goes down and then it bounces right back up. Well, your mind is kind of like that. It will do that for a while. And you just steady it in your heart center. Just keep bringing it back down. As you breathe into that center and ask it to open, just hold your attention there. And it might sit there like a knot, and you just keep breathing into it until it gives up the ghost and melts. And you say into the space between your breaths in the center of your heart, I am in perfect union And if anything else comes up, then you can, if it's negative, you can begin to welcome it and say ho'oponopono to it. I'm sorry. And you're saying this to your highest self. I'm sorry because I'm not completely in contact. Please forgive me. You know that contact is coming. You say thank you. Pure gratitude. And when you bring that pure gratitude, there is an expansion. As you feel that expansion, you just love it. I love you. Then when you're ready, you drop your attention into the energy center just below your belly button. Breathe into that. I am in perfect union. Hold your attention there. Feel for the gratitude. You can say 3 things you're grateful for into this center. As you feel that center open and melt, drop your attention down to the tip of your tailbone. In the center of your breath, between the breaths, I am in perfect alignment. Drop your attention into Mother Earth. Feel for that perfect alignment. As you're ready, allow your attention to come up your central channel. Through all the other centers till you get to your throat center. Breathe into that energy center. I am in perfect alignment. You might feel into your gratitude for being able to speak. Allow your attention to go upward to your third eye, behind and between your eyebrows. Breathe into that space. I am in perfect alignment. Bring your attention to the top of your head. I am in perfect alignment. Bring your attention to the top of your aura. I am in perfect alignment. And now breathe all the way down to the earth. And you may feel a kind of nectar coming through the top of your head and dripping down as you inhale and circulating through your entire being down to the earth and back up again. Continue at your own pace. Eyes open or closed, your choice. We're coming to the end of our time. We're getting more and more reluctant to pull ourselves out of meditation. Maybe we need to have a time where we just come together and meditate. We'd like to hear your feedback about that possibility. So much love to you. We have really enjoyed being with you so thoroughly today. It's really wonderful. Just so wonderful to be with you. Thank you so much. We bow to your work. Till next week.